Hi everyone, my name is Rafael. I'm the founder and CEO of Zendesk Labs. Today I want to go through a marketing and sales funnel that I built in the recent past to generate more than 270 B2B leads with an ACV average contract value of 5K in USD and a total pipeline value of about 1.4 million. Why does this matter? Well, the marketing and sales landscape has changed pretty drastically over the last couple of years. iOS 14 crushed the effectiveness of the cookies that platforms like Meta used to use in order to track who converts on your landing pages, which in my experience has dramatically reduced the effectiveness of landing pages as a marketing and sales asset. And ultimately what you will also see as we go through this funnel, it's important to not just get people into the funnel, but also get them through the funnel to a point where you can say, hey, they're either qualified or unqualified for my proposal for the thing that I want to offer them, whether I'm a product business or a services business. And so funnels are really the way to get that done. I'll try to keep this video below 10 minutes, so I'm not going to go into the details of the technology stack that I use and how I set that up. But if you want to have a longer version of this video, let me know, and I'll be happy to dive into each individual tool that I use in order to generate this funnel. Before we get started, who am I, and a little bit more on myself. As I mentioned, founder and CEO of Zendesk Labs. We focus on helping startups grow. Growth is usually the top challenge for startups. Before starting Zendesk Labs, I was a principal at a company called Roivant. We raised about $3 billion from SoftBank Vision Fund, Founders Fund, and went public in September 21 on the NASDAQ, which is when I decided to move on. Think of Roivant as a principal investor. We deployed the capital that we raised for our own balance sheet into a portfolio of about 35 startups. And I, as a principal, would lead investments, but also drop into our portfolio startups and help them with performance improvement. Among other things, I was the head of demand generation for one of our enterprise SaaS businesses for 2 years. And then before joining Roivant in 2017, started two successful startups, one in digital health, the other one in e-com, myself. All right, so without further ado, what we're going to do now is walk you through the setup here in Miro. There is a lot, so don't get overwhelmed as I scroll up here, but I want to give you the full perspective. And we will just start on the left with the lead generation, essentially. In this instance, I used ads on Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. I started on both, but ultimately moved only over to Instagram because I liked the quality of the deal flow more that was coming from there from an intent and qualification perspective. I tried LinkedIn, but honestly, I was disappointed. I've spent a lot of money on LinkedIn in the past. Compared to Meta, it just doesn't perform as well. The targeting on LinkedIn is much better than on Meta, but Meta has smarter infrastructure, and I also feel like follow-up advertising placements. Once you click on an ad, you'll essentially get spammed with other ads of that advertiser and similar ads, and that just helps to convert people. In either case, I used what you could call instant forms. I think it's actually called instant forms or lead generation forms on Meta, and certainly that's the name on LinkedIn. And so the great thing about instant forms in my experience is that what I was just talking about a little bit earlier, iOS 14, in my perspective in the B2B space, made landing pages useless for paid social. Instant forms give the platforms the feedback mechanism in terms of who signed up for your ad or for the offer that you're presenting in the ad. And that lets them rethink their targeting and actually target more relevant leads that are more likely to convert based on your messaging. So instant forms are a secret hack. I don't think there is as vastly used as they should be. People do sign up for it. Now, what happened with me when people signed up for instant forms, and I had them sign up anywhere from cost per lead of $250 up to at times $15 USD, so it wasn't crazy high, it wasn't zero. What happened when people signed up is that I sometimes had challenges reaching them. So as you'd imagine, if you reach someone on paid social, their intent is not as high as on other platforms. So you have to make sure that once you got them into your funnel, you don't let go. You behave like a pit bull, essentially. And so at the end of the ad, I was pretty transparent. You get like a couple of screens where people can click through. At least on Meta, that's the way it is. And I was pretty transparent. Hey guys and girls, I'm not able to reach 50% of you. If you want to lock in your call with me, you're free. In this case, I was promoting a free fundraising strategy call with me since I'm a former investor. I routed them right to my Calendly. I tried FYI separately. I also tried landing page ads. I tried ads going right to my Calendly page. Neither of those two worked. The only thing that turned out to work is have people sign up via the instant form, link my Calendly at the end, and have them book a meeting with me right away. And then once it's in my CRM, I would go out and cancel meetings that were just completely unqualified based on the questions I ask in the instant forms. Now, the Calendly was actually pretty important because I literally was mostly unable to reach the people that just signed up for my instant form instead of also submitting the Calendly or booking a call with me via Calendly. Now, once people book the call via Calendly, and that's the next steps that you see down here, you already overcame one of the challenges in your sales funnel, which means people have a booked meeting with you. Now, the next challenge that you will experience if you have a sales funnel that starts with paid social, where intent is somewhat lower relative to other channels, is that people won't show up to your meetings. This is obviously true for any kind of outbound sales activity, but it's particularly true in a sales funnel like this. And so for me, it was important to right away start sending them an email sequence coming from Calendly. So I would get a confirmation email from me. They would get a 24-hour an email 24 hours before the meeting where I introduce myself, an email 12 hours before and 1 hour before with different types of content. At the same time, I also set up Zapier to push a task to Clicksend, which is essentially a tool you can use to send messages, text messages, as well as other types of messages to leads, and they would automatically get 3 different types of text messages from me. 1 to confirm the meeting, 30 minutes before the meeting to remind them, and then at 0 to send them the Zoom link. So Clicksend was above average effective in terms of reaching people. Email deliverability, as you probably also know, is just terrible. Spam filters, people having too overcrowded inboxes. They will, even if they booked a meeting with you, sometimes not remember why even they have that meeting on the books with you, and so text messages to help. For some reason, that's just a channel that's not being used as much. And at the end, I would send them to route them to my LinkedIn when they went through the Calendly booking form. Now, all of this, as you can see here, is Zapier. Zapier goes into Pipedrive. In this case, Pipedrive was my CRM. I used Pipedrive because I found it cheaper and more effective and efficient than Hubspot. I checked out both. I also looked at Zendesk for sales, not the operations or development side of it. Pipedrive was the most effective one for me. Now, where am I? I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. If they came in via Calendly, they would land in Pipedrive right away, and then in the stage I called intro booked. Now, if they didn't book a Calendly right away, they would go to Pipedrive 2, but land in a different stage called leads meta. At the same time, I set up my Zapier such that the contact person would be created. You'll see that if you end up using Pipedrive, you can either create a deal or a contact person. It's hard to link those two automatically. So I separately I first create a deal through Zapier in Pipedrive and also a contact person. And every contact person ultimately, would be receiving a confirmation email from me automatically. Even if they booked the Calendly, there is a little bit of redundancy here, but that's just the way it is. And in that confirmation email, I would again route them to my Calendly to get the number of booked meetings higher without me having to do anything. At the same time, I would set up every contact person through a capability that you have in Pipedrive called campaigns, would set them up for 15 email nurture campaigns, in my case, about various topics regarding fundraising strategy, pitch decks, and how to get on calls with investors. Okay, so moving on to the intro booked stage and the leads meta stage, what would happen essentially is that I now have booked calls on my calendar, right? So I want to start understanding who are these people that book calls with me? Are they qualified? Can I extend an invitation to book a Calendly with me if they haven't done so yet, or do I need to cancel it? And all of that I do in this stage, in addition to a couple of tactical steps like linking contacts in Pipedrive, and potentially sometimes when I had the energy to, I would just call them via Skype right away. If not, then I would send them an email suggesting that they should book a meeting with me, and a Clicksend confirmation. Sometimes I did a WhatsApp, but the workflow to create a WhatsApp message is a little bit more tedious than Clicksend. And then I would try to connect with them on LinkedIn. That is all manual SDRing work. Up to here, it's all automated, right? These guys come in from Meta. I deprioritized LinkedIn since it wasn't working as well. Used an instant form, sent them to Calendly, sent them to Pipedrive, would qualify, would cancel meetings that were already set up if they're clearly not the right type of customers I was looking for, would send invitation emails to book a Calendly with me if they are the right ones and haven't booked one yet. And then ultimately what would happen is that each of these, once I move them on to the next stage, which was the contacted stage, they would get email follow-ups from me. And then we would, again, be back to the intro booked stage. If someone in my CRM, if someone actually booked an intro, we would have the intro call. They would receive an NPS, I think it's called Net Promoter Score, but I'm blanking right now, via Calendly automatically one day after our call. That is set up in SurveyMonkey. That's linked to my Trustpilot if they enjoyed the call, and my referral email. And then from there, I would make a proposal. I would send the proposal email. I had all of those templatized in Pipedrive. I would link my Upwork account where I'm what you call expert vetted, so the top 1%. I would link my Trustpilot profile, and I would have email follow-ups automated again through Pipedrive. And then depending on, responsiveness, I would follow up via Skype, email, LinkedIn, Clicksend, WhatsApp, whatever was necessary to get the people across the finish line, and then ultimately close them via Stripe, and then we would go into our customer success flow. All right, that's 11 minutes and 20 seconds here on a high-level overview across my funnel that I used for 1.4 million in pipeline value. I'm going to summarize it once again really quickly, since there are a lot of steps and a lot of things going on here. You start, in my case, Meta, but you could use another platform that has instant forms. Instant forms work the best. Have some qualification questions in there. At the end of the instant form, link them right to your Calendly. You could do it differently, but at the time where I recorded this video, the features and capabilities of these instant forms were somewhat limited, so you had to do it at the end of the form. Use Zapier generously to set up automations to push them into your Pipedrive CRM or whatever CRM you're using, to set up email nurtures, to send out confirmation emails and reminders, both in email and in text, as I have via Clicksend down here. And then ultimately, once you get to the booked meeting stage, if that is a useful stage in your pipeline, it could be offering them a report. It could be offering an SDR call. They don't need to talk to the CEO necessarily unless the pipeline value is high enough, and unless the ACV, the average contract value, is high enough and the lead is qualified strongly enough. Have them, qualified once again, review that manually. So that's really the first stage I needed to do manually, and shepherd them through your funnel toward the end. I found the biggest leaks to be in the acquisition phase. So when I tried to get them to sign up via my landing page, instance forms worked much better, and then no-shows were a big issue that I had to fix, and the email sequences, the Clicksend, worked fabulously, along with the email nurtures that would start right away. And from there on, it was mostly around figuring out intent and ability to pay, and much of that is actually a function of the messaging that you have in the instant form and your ad itself, and the qualification questions you're asking. Fantastic. Hope you found this useful. Let me know if you want a deeper dive into this. But this is how I did it. Everyone does it slightly differently, but this is how I created a 1.4 million pipeline in, we're talking, 2 months or less. Hope you enjoyed this, and I guess quick call to action at the end here. If you liked this video, don't forget to like the video. If you have questions about what I did here, drop them in the comment section below. I'll be happy to answer those. And please, it means the world to me. Subscribe to the channel if you find this useful. I would love to publish more content, and if you subscribe, that just gives me that energy boost. Have a great rest of your day, and talk soon. Bye-bye.